All right, let's jump into this deep dive on government reform.
Sounds good.
We're going to be looking at this plan for government.
Okay.
And, well, it's got some pretty wild ideas in it.
It does.
How to change things up.
Yeah.
Everything from taxes to blockchain.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be breaking it all down so you can understand what it could mean for, everyday folks like us.
Yeah. What really struck me about this plan is how much it emphasizes
Yeah.
efficiency and transparency, and also how it tries to find new ways to, bring in revenue. It's not just about complaining about the system. It's about offering solutions.
Right.
Some of which are pretty radical, I gotta say.
Yeah, well, let's dive right into one of the first things they talk about, which is getting rid of taxes on tips and overtime.
Right.
Now, on the surface, that sounds pretty good, right?
Yeah. More money in your pocket.
Exactly. Who doesn't want more money?
Exactly.
But they actually argue that this move could help boost the whole economy.
Yeah, the idea is that when people have more money to spend, that they spend it, right?
Right.
And that spending leads to businesses growing and creating more jobs.
Right.
That's that classic supply-side economic theory.
But, there's got to be a catch, right? It can't all be sunshine and roses.
Well, yeah, the plan does acknowledge that doing this could mean the government takes in less money,
Right.
potentially even trillions of dollars less over the next 10 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they specifically mentioned something like $3 trillion lost just from not taxing overtime anymore.
Wow.
And another $600 billion from those untaxed tips.
So it's kind of like a trade-off then.
Yeah, exactly.
Like maybe the economy grows, but the government's also in a deeper hole.
Yeah.
The plan doesn't really say which one is better, the good or the bad, so it's something you got to think about.
Right.
Now, another big thing this document talks about is, that national debt we keep hearing about.
Oh, yeah, the big one.
Yeah, the big one.
Uh-huh.
It's something like over $34 trillion right now, which is just a crazy number.
Yeah. It's astronomical.
Yeah, and the plan blames a lot of that on the government just spending too much money.
Right.
They talk about programs that are just a waste, agencies that don't care where the money goes, and those bailouts for big companies that always seem to get people riled up.
Yeah, it's a common sentiment, right?
Yeah.
Like, where is all our tax money going?
Exactly. And this plan is trying to, address that frustration head on.
Absolutely. And they offer a few ways to fix it.
Okay.
So first, they say, we need to reform how the government spends money.
Okay.
Basically, tighten the belt and make sure every dollar is used well.
Mm-hmm.
Second, they say we should lower taxes for everyone.
Okay.
They even talk about things like a flat tax or a tax just on what you buy.
Interesting.
And finally, they want to give more power to states and local communities and take it away from the federal government.
Okay, so it sounds like they're giving us, different options here.
Yeah, kind of like choose your own adventure for government reform, right?
I like that.
Which brings us to one of the more controversial parts of the plan, which is this idea of creating a Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE. DOGE, yeah.
Like the meme.
Yeah, like the meme. And get this.
Yeah.
They actually suggest that Elon Musk should lead it.
Really?
Yeah. They say under his leadership, this department could save $1 billion every day.
$1 billion a day.
$1 billion a day.
Just by cutting waste and making things run smoother.
That's the claim.
That's a big claim.
It is a bold claim.
So how are they going to pull that off?
Well, the plan lays out some pretty extreme methods that DOGE might use.
Okay.
We're talking mass layoffs across all these government agencies.
Wow.
Canceling contracts that they consider unnecessary, and even ending a lot of those diversity, equity, and inclusion DEI programs.
And I imagine that's already gotten some people pretty upset.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
This plan even mentions that DOGE has been hit with some criticisms and legal battles. Yeah, for example, some people are concerned about DOGE having access to all this sensitive data from different federal agencies.
Oh, I see.
They say it's overreach and it could be a privacy violation.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, and here's another thing that might surprise you.
Okay.
The plan says that DOGE's budget actually went up from $6.75 million to $14.4 million in just 3 weeks.
Wait, so a department that's supposed to be about saving money
Right.
got a bigger budget?
Yeah, that's what it seems like. It does raise some eyebrows.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if DOGE is really doing what it's supposed to do or if it's just another part of the problem.
It's a good point. It's something to think about as you consider this whole proposal.
Yeah, for sure.
So we've talked about putting more money in your pocket, and then we've talked about tackling all that wasteful spending.
Right.
But this plan doesn't stop there.
Oh, there's more.
Oh, yeah, it gets even bolder in the next section, saying we need to go way beyond those small changes and completely overhaul the whole system.
Well, a complete overhaul on
A
it.
complete overhaul. That's where we'll pick up in part 2 of this deep dive.
All right, thank you.
We'll be exploring the plan's ideas for immediate and drastic action,
Okay.
including stuff like zero-based budgeting and getting rid of all that bureaucracy. All right, so welcome back to our deep dive.
All right.
We're moving on to the next part of this plan for government. And, well, things are going to get even more, how should I say it, ambitious.
Okay.
They're basically saying that if we really want to see change,
Mm-hmm.
we can't just keep tweaking the system.
Yeah.
We got to completely redo it.
So they're not just talking about, like, trimming into the fat here and there.
Right.
They want to, like, rebuild the whole government.
Pretty much, yeah. And they're not wasting any time either. They're
Yeah.
talking about swift and decisive action,
Okay.
cutting through the red tape and getting rid of anything that's outdated and inefficient.
All right, let's hear it. Then, what are some of the changes they're actually proposing?
Well, one of the big ideas they talk about is this thing called zero-based budgeting.
Zero-based budgeting.
Yeah, so instead of just taking last year's budget and adjusting it a little bit,
Right.
every single department would have to start from zero.
Wow.
They'd have to justify every dollar they ask for.
I can see how that would be a lot of work for the people putting the budget together.
Yeah, for sure. But it would also force them to really think about their priorities, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, do we really need to spend money on this?
Right,
Or can we cut it?
right.
The plan argues that doing this would expose all those hidden inefficiencies
Okay.
and get rid of programs that aren't doing what they're supposed to do anymore.
Yeah, I can see that.
Mm.
And they also talk about bureaucracy, right?
Oh, yeah, big time.
Because, everybody complains that the government's just bogged down in paperwork and red tape.
Absolutely. And this plan says we got to shrink the federal bureaucracy, like, significantly.
Right.
Okay, how are they going to do that?
Well, they say we got to get rid of agencies that are redundant,
Mm-hmm.
where we've got two agencies doing basically the same thing.
Yeah.
And we got to streamline the processes, make them simpler,
Okay.
less paperwork, less hassle.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And what about all those government contractors?
Oh, yeah, that's another thing they target. They say the government relies way too much on contractors,
Mm-hmm.
especially those big consulting firms.
Yeah.
And they say we could save billions of dollars by bringing those services in-house.
So it's all about making the government smaller and more efficient.
Yeah, leaner, more agile, more responsive.
Got it. But they don't just talk about these big concepts, right?
Right.
They get into some really specific examples.
Oh, absolutely. For example, they point to the Pentagon,
Okay.
the Department of Defense.
Yeah.
They've got a massive budget, something like $850 billion.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money,
Mm-hmm.
but guess what?
Yeah.
They can't even pass a financial audit.
Yeah, they can't account for where all that money's going.
Wow, that's kind of scary.
Yeah, it is pretty wild.
Yeah.
And this plan uses that as an example of why we need more transparency and accountability
Right.
when it comes to government spending.
Absolutely.
So they're proposing that all government agencies should have mandatory audits.
Oh, yeah.
And then they got to publish those audits publicly.
Wow.
So everyone can see exactly how every dollar is being spent.
No more secrets.
No more secrets.
No more hiding behind the bureaucracy.
Exactly. You mess up, people are going to know about it.
That'll make some people nervous, I bet.
I'm sure it would. They also go after all the delays that happen with important projects.
Okay.
Things like infrastructure, energy, and business development.
Yeah, those projects always seem to take forever.
Forever.
Right.
They say all those regulations and environmental reviews, while important, can hold things up for years.
Yeah.
And that costs the economy time and money.
Yeah, it's a tough balance, though,
Yeah,
right?
it's a tough balance.
Because you want to make progress,
Right.
but you also want to protect the environment.
Right, you don't want to just bulldoze everything.
Exactly.
But they argue that we can find a way to do both,
Okay.
streamline the processes, be smarter about it,
Right.
so we can protect the environment without bringing everything to a halt.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds great in theory, but how are they going to actually get all of this done?
Right, because these are some pretty massive changes.
Yeah, it's not like they can just snap their fingers and make it happen.
Exactly, and they know that there's going to be a lot of pushback.
Yeah. For sure.
Especially from the people who benefit from the current system,
Right.
but they believe that real change often starts from the ground up.
Okay, so they're putting their faith in the people.
They are. They're saying we got to use public pressure,
Okay.
citizen-led initiatives, social media, all that stuff, to hold politicians accountable and make these reforms happen.
Even if it means going against the grain.
Even if it means going against the grain. They're basically saying we have the power to demand better from our government.
I like that. A message of empowerment.
It is. They're reminding us that we have a voice, we have a role to play
Right.
in shaping the future of our government.
Absolutely.
Now get ready for this, because this is where things get really interesting.
Okay, I'm ready.
We're going to shift gears a little bit
Okay.
and talk about some of the more cutting-edge ideas in this plan.
Ooh, cutting edge. I like it. What kind of futuristic solutions are we talking about?
Well, prepare to have your mind blown.
Okay.
They want to use blockchain technology.
Blockchain, like what they use for Bitcoin and stuff.
Exactly. They want to create a public ledger for all government spending.
Wow.
Using blockchain. So every transaction,
Okay.
from salaries to contracts to infrastructure projects, everything would be recorded on this blockchain.
So anybody could just go online and see where their tax dollars are going?
That's the idea.
No more secrets.
No more secrets. Total transparency.
I like it. But isn't blockchain like really energy intensive?
That's a good point, and they address that head on.
Okay.
They propose using geothermal energy.
Geothermal?
Yeah, like from the Earth's heat. They even specifically mention Yellowstone National Park.
Wait, Yellowstone?
Yellowstone, the one with the super volcano.
Yeah, I'm just picturing like wires running all over Old Faithful.
Well, maybe not exactly like that, but they do point out that geothermal is renewable, it's carbon neutral, and it's pretty abundant in certain parts of the U.S.
Okay, so they're thinking long term.
They're thinking long term.
Using clean energy to power a transparent government system.
Exactly. It's
Right.
a pretty powerful message. But I know what you're thinking.
What's that?
Setting up all that infrastructure would be a huge project.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah.
But they argue that the long-term benefits are worth it.
And get this, they're not just thinking about the government.
Okay.
They say this geothermal infrastructure could also power other things.
Like what?
Like AI development, data centers, even cryptocurrency mining.
So it's like a whole new energy ecosystem
Yeah.
built around this blockchain-powered government.
It's a big vision, but it's an exciting one, right?
Yeah, it is. And they go even further.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What else?
They want to create a digital U.S. dollar.
Digital U.S. dollar.
Yeah, imagine that. All government spending
Wow.
done with digital money tracked on this blockchain.
That would be a huge change.
Yeah, a complete transformation.
Would we all be walking around with digital wallets instead of cash?
Well, they don't say it would replace physical cash entirely,
Okay.
at least not right away.
Okay.
But the idea is that all government agencies would use this digital USD.
Got it.
So they get this digital currency,
Mm-hmm.
and they could only spend it on things that have been pre-approved.
Interesting. So no more shady deals.
Right. No more slipping cash under the
Oh,
table.
no more suitcases full of cash.
Exactly. Everything's out in the open.
Transparent and accountable.
Exactly.
I can dig it. And they take that accountability thing even further, right?
Yeah. They tie
Yeah.
funding to results.
Results-based funding.
Yeah. So let's say a city wants to build a new bridge, right?
Okay.
They don't just get all the money up front.
Right.
They get it in stages
Okay.
as they hit certain milestones.
So they got to prove they're actually making progress.
Exactly. Which makes sense.
Makes sense to me.
Right. Make sure the taxpayer's getting what they paid for.
Absolutely. That's how it should be.
Now, we've talked a lot about technology.
Yeah.
But what about those more human issues?
Right.
You know, things like criminal justice,
Mhm.
immigration,
Yeah.
drug policy, education.
Those big societal problems.
Yeah. How does this plan address those?
Okay.
Yeah.
That's exactly where we're headed next.
Okay. Good.
This plan for government doesn't shy away from those tough topics.
All right. Can't wait to hear it.
Get ready for another thought-provoke in discussion.
And we're back for the final part of our deep dive. We've gone through all sorts of stuff. Taxes, blockchain, even Elon Musk.
Yeah, quite a ride.
Right. But now it's time to tackle the really big issues, the ones that affect us every day.
Yeah, the stuff that really matters.
Exactly. Things like criminal justice, immigration, drug policy, education.
The plan definitely doesn't avoid those tough conversations.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
And it tries to approach them with the same focus on efficiency, transparency, results.
Right, consistent with everything else we've seen so far.
Okay, so let's start with criminal justice.
Okay.
The plan paints a pretty grim picture of how things are now.
Yeah, they basically say that the current prison system, it's more about punishment than rehabilitation.
Okay.
So instead of helping people get back on their feet, it just keeps them trapped.
Trapped in the system,
Exactly. And that leads to high recidivism rates.
which means people end up back in prison.
Right. It's a vicious cycle.
So they're saying, we're not really breaking the cycle of crime, we're just making it worse?
That's their argument, yeah. So they propose this really radical shift.
Okay. I'm intrigued. What is it?
They call it a performance-based system.
Performance-based.
Yeah, so instead of just paying prisons based on how many people they're holding, we'd pay them based on how well they prepare those people to re-enter society.
So, like, if they help people get jobs, stay out of trouble,
Exactly.
then they get more money.
Exactly. It's about aligning incentives, right?
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
And they also talk about repurposing some prisons, right?
Yeah, they say we have all these prisons that are just packed with people,
Yeah.
and a lot of them are non-violent offenders.
Right.
So they're saying, let's convert some of these facilities into immigration processing centers and mental health facilities.
Interesting.
So we're addressing multiple problems at once, right?
Yeah, multitasking.
Exactly. Reducing the prison population, tackling immigration challenges, and providing those much-needed mental health resources.
It sounds good, but I'm sure some people wouldn't be happy about it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It would be a big change. But the plan argues that we could save money this way
Okay.
and make our communities safer.
So they're trying to appeal to people's wallets and
Yeah.
their sense of security. It's interesting how they connect all these different issues, you know?
It is interesting.
Like showing how fixing one thing can actually help fix other things, too.
It's all connected. That's their point. Okay, ready to move on to another hot-button issue.
Hit me with it.
Drug policy.
Yes, always a controversial one.
Always controversial.
What do they have to say about that?
Well, they basically say that the war on drugs,
Mm-hmm.
it hasn't worked.
Okay, yeah, I've heard that argument before.
Yeah, it's been going on for decades, right?
Right.
And they argue that it's actually made things worse.
Okay, how so?
Well, because it's created this huge black market
Right, yeah.
where criminals can make a ton of money selling drugs.
Yeah, I can see that. So what's their solution?
Legalization and regulation.
Wow, they're not messing around. Are they talking about legalizing all drugs?
They don't go into specifics about which drugs,
Okay.
but the idea is to treat drug use as a public health problem,
Okay.
not a criminal problem.
Interesting.
They even point to Portugal as an example.
Portugal.
Yeah, they decriminalized all drugs back in 2001, and they saw a big drop in overdoses and HIV infections.
Huh. That's pretty compelling.
They also talk about prostitution.
Prostitution.
Yeah.
Okay, what do they say about that?
They want to legalize and regulate that too.
Wow, they're really going for it. What's their reasoning there?
Well, they say that in countries like the Netherlands and Germany where it's legal, sex workers are actually safer
Okay.
because they have access to health care,
Right.
legal protections.
Yeah, it's a different perspective for sure.
It is. It's a different perspective. But again, they emphasize the potential benefits, you know?
Okay, like what?
Less crime, better public health, and more tax revenue.
Okay, so they're trying to find those win-win solutions.
Exactly. Shifting from punishment to a more pragmatic and humane approach.
Makes sense. All right, let's talk about education now.
Okay, education, another big one.
Yeah, it's supposed to be the great equalizer, right?
That's what they say.
But we all know that not everyone gets the same opportunities.
Absolutely. And the plan acknowledges that.
Good. So what do they propose?
Well, they start by saying that every public school
Hmm.
should get the same amount of funding.
Okay, regardless of where they are or how wealthy the community is.
Exactly. They believe that every child deserves a quality education.
I agree with that. But how do we know the money will actually be used effectively?
That's a good question. They propose a system where schools have to meet certain standards.
Okay, so it's not just about giving them money. It's about holding them accountable.
Right. If a school shows improvement, they get more resources.
Oh.
If they don't, they could face consequences.
Like why?
Maybe they got to restructure or
Okay.
change leadership.
Yeah.
They also want to have a standardized curriculum
Okay.
based on what works best in the highest performance schools.
So they're trying to raise the bar for everyone.
Exactly. Give every student the tools they need to succeed.
Makes sense. So we've covered a lot of ground here. This plan is really trying to change everything.
It's a pretty radical vision.
It is. But how are they going to actually make it happen?
Well, this is where they bring back DOGE.
DOGE.
Yeah, the Department of Government Efficiency.
Right, right. So they're saying DOGE would be in charge of all this.
Yeah, they see DOGE as the driving force behind these reforms.
Okay, but how? What would DOGE actually do?
Well, they envision DOGE using all the latest technology.
Okay, like AI, blockchain.
Exactly. They want to create a system that's super efficient,
Okay.
transparent, data-driven.
So Technology is the key to making all this work.
It's a big part of it, yeah.
Okay.
But they also emphasize the importance of human oversight.
Okay, so it's not just about the machines taking over.
No, not at all.
Okay.
They see AI as handling the routine tasks.
Okay, which frees up the human experts
Yeah.
to focus on the more complex stuff,
Exactly.
finding that balance between human and machine.
That's the goal. But they're realistic. They know this is going to be a huge challenge.
Yeah, for sure.
It's going to require a major shift in how we think about government.
Both from the people in charge and from us, the citizens.
Exactly.
It's like they're challenging us to demand better.
They are. They're saying we got to be active participants.
Not just sitting on the sidelines.
Right.
Shaping the future we want to see.
Exactly.
That's a powerful message.
It is a powerful message.
So, they end the plan with this big question.
Oh, yeah, the big one. What is it?
Could this be the most efficient government the world has ever seen?
Wow, they really leave you thinking, don't they?
They do.
Oh.
And they don't give us a straight answer.
No, they make you work for it.
Yeah. But they definitely give us a lot to consider.
They do.
A lot of possibilities for a different kind of future.
A better future, maybe.
Maybe. Well, that's all the time we have for this deep dive.
Time flies when you're talking government reform.
It really does. We hope you found this exploration insightful.
And maybe even a little bit inspiring.
Yeah, inspiring. Remember, the conversation doesn't end here.
Ray, keep thinking about these ideas.
Talk about them with your friends, your family, your elected officials.
Exactly.
Let's all work together to build a government that truly serves the people.
Here,